Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
So, so what I thought was like a nice, easy night. Stacy's enjoying. She's going to the concert tonight.
Oh,
We
nice.
got Grand Central. Matt's coming home. He's going to be here in about 45 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Ashley's coming home. She's going to be here like 15 minutes after that. So I don't know if I'll get back here for the 7 for NFL, but definitely be here for at least half hour, 45 minutes of
Yeah, beautiful.
of NBA. So I guess I'll start by asking you just a random question. Are you playing Jamal Cain?
I knew you were gonna. I knew that. I 100% knew you were gonna ask me that. As of right now, I'm not planning to. It's tough with Miami because they will just launch guys into roles like out of nowhere. And he played 28 minutes in the last game, and that's seemingly why a lot of people are paying attention. No Josh Richardson. It feels a little suspect, but then again, so does a lot of the other stuff tonight. So I think it's totally fine. I didn't get there in my first builds, and I didn't feel like I needed to. But honestly, I'm playing Taylor Hendricks in my early build, so I don't know that's they're projected like for the same amount of points. And Taylor Hendricks is 4,200 in center only. But I just can see the narrative there because he's their top pick and everything. Actually, he was their second pick. But he was their first round pick. I might end up using Kane. I'm still debating what to do on that one.
Right now I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
If so, it's very. I mean, I only have like 10% of him right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured from what I had heard, also it was a different something about it's a different matchup too. In that you have is that Chicago. They you really need the bigs, the traditional bigs against them because they go straight Vooch and Drummond or something. So it might not be like a 29-minute situation for Kane. That anywhere he probably get 20, but who knows? Like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying that sometimes they just launch them in the roles and they stay there, then it's tough. But I'd rather just listen. I'd rather just be non-committal and play Utah guys. You know what I mean? And then screw around with that later.
That's exactly where I'm at. I couldn't agree more. I think it's well put. And I love Luka. At which game doesn't start till 5:30, 8:30 Eastern. But I don't have any other players currently in my current builds that start before that. I have one Jared Allen lineup. That's really it. Like I'm gonna wait, and I am gonna count on there being different starting lineups. Some piece of news we don't know we're gonna get. We don't know we need yet. We still don't know about Malcolm Brogdon. That's something that makes that game very stackable if he doesn't play. And there's still other stuff that you still could hear. I'd like to see who's starting for for Denver with no KCP. It probably will be Christian Braun, but it could be Strother, and they could go weird and start Reggie Jackson and bring both those guys off the bench and keep them, or they could start Justin Holiday, which actually probably is the most likely thing that they'll do. They start Justin Holiday, who will look good at 4,200, and I would encourage people to play Strother and Braun over him.
This is a really stupid question, but just something to pass the time because I really don't know who started or anything like that. But aside from that, like how would you rate the Utah guys?
I really would like to know again.
That's what I said. It's like kind of silly.
Right? Without the starting lineup, it's a little tricky. So let me give it a crack. This is the same question that's happening with Raul, but look, let's just remember one thing. Utah has been playing without Olynyk. I'm sorry, without Markkanen. Let's not act like that's brand new news. They've been playing without John Collins. Let's not act like that's brand new news. The Clarkson thing is a bigger thing, but that makes it obviously Sexton, then Horton Tucker for me. Again, I'd like to see who's starting, and probably Olynyk would be my third. But I think there's variance with the Olynyk play. And it does feel a little weird because what are they going to just play like Yurt 7? Like right now, Yurt 7, Olynyk, and Kessler are connecting for a bunch of minutes. And yes, you will get Olynyk at the 4, but you're also going to get some minutes with Agbaji and Hendricks at the 4. So I would say where I'm not going to have Olynyk, and even if I am playing Olynyk, I still kind of want some of the Hendricks exposure. So I guess it's the obvious 3, Sexton, Horton Tucker, then Olynyk, but After that, I think for me, it would be Hendricks, whereas most people would say Akbaji. And then it would be Fontecchio over Agbaji. Potentially even Yurtseven. But again, he could end up starting tonight. We really don't know, and Chris Dunn could end up starting and instead of the other bench guys for Utah, and then that would be weird. So it's really hard to know, which is why it just speaks to like pushing back a little bit. I like the players in the later games anyway, so I'm good with just sort of waiting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have like right now, like the top 6 owned guys on my board as being Utah, but at the end of the day, I'm going to want to know who's starting, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to see how they all reproject, and it's going to be messed around with a little bit. Like I have lineups like right now that have like 5 Jazz, and I'm not going to keep it that way.
Right.
But they're good. They're really good placeholders,
Right. Exactly.
And there's stuff that you can play as the slate develops,
Well, yeah, Anthony Edwards is still legitimately questionable. You know what I mean?
That is true. And
then Cat becomes like one of the priority guys. And people asking about Gobert. Yeah, I like Gobert. I actually think it's a good matchup for Gobert, but it's not a priority for me. But again, I like any of the plays that start in these later games because if any of this news happens, if Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are out, if both of them are out, then I do think that makes Towns like one of the best plays in the slate, maybe the best spend up outside of Luka. And you could also argue for guys like Kyle Anderson if McDaniels is out also. So there's definitely some things you could do with as you go, sort of, and that's sort of the way I'm playing the slate.
The real question that you need to answer, before 7:30, is what you're doing in the Chicago-Miami game. Okay, I don't think many people are doing much in Cleveland. Maybe we'll see a share or two of Jared Allen floating around, whatever. But what to do with Chicago-Miami? I include Chicago for 2 reasons. One is because you earlier had a little bit more love for Chicago than I did, and I am getting some Kobe White right now. And also, Vooch is looking like a decent play as well. So those are the 2 Chicago guys I'm looking at. And then on the Miami side, obviously you have to decide what you want to do, if anything, with Jamal Cain and to some degree Butler, specifically on FanDuel, I think. So those are the real decisions you make, and then you have some time. Then you can see what's going on with Anthony Edwards, right? See what happens over there. And then Brooklyn, Denver. I don't know if you can get much out of that. You do have I don't know if he's been playing, but I was getting some Anthony, not Anthony. What's his name? Aaron Gordon somewhere in some lineups. I don't know exactly why, but I was getting some of that. But you get to keep pushing back as much as you can, and then at 10 o'clock is where the real. I shouldn't say where the slate starts because you do have to decide whether you want to play Luka or not. The answer is probably yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but there's a case we made to keep delaying, and then if you do want to pay up or something like that, then you can go play. You could go play. What's his name? Jokic a little half hour later, or play nobody that expensive, and you go with Shea and Sabonis or something like that, or even Kawhi or whatever. So in either case, the real decisions. I mean, we're talking about process here. The real decisions is how much you want to commit to anything in these first 2 games.
Right. And I guess maybe to speak to it, maybe it'd be worth listing out, because I think there's some good plays in those games, and I don't think using 1 or 2 pieces is going to affect your late swappability. No. It's really just like if you don't want to put like 5 guys from the early games in there, But I think there's some good pieces in those early games, and I actually think there's going to be some ownership there. But I just think the strategy makes so much sense, especially while we still don't have news to wait, especially when the best stuff projection-wise is already in the later games.
Yeah.
You have to decide about Jamal Cain, whether you want to do that too. I most likely am not going to. And I like the points that you made as to why it's true. Straightforward centers, you're going to get 48 minutes of actual centers for Chicago. Most likely you see Robinson and Bryant taking up that role. By the way, not the craziest idea in the world to take a shot on Thomas Bryant, but probably not worth it. The Kobe White thing, he's been crushing every time. He's been shooting the ball incredibly well. It's obviously a tough matchup. I have it White, DeRozan, then Vooch, and I think they're all totally in play. And on Miami, I think Jimmy Butler is like an incredible tournament play. If this game was in Chicago, I have a feeling like people would just narrative based wise somehow it would have affected his projections or something. because the little revenge factor there. But it is interesting with him at 9,100, and he could easily be the highest scoring player not named Luka on the slate. Same is true for Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, who are also going to be sub 10% or right around 10%. All of those guys I think are really good plays. I just don't think I want to play like two of them early on and miss out on stuff later, because I'd rather play Cat with no Edwards, for example.
Yeah.
Is anyone playing SGA? I think SGA is another one. He's another one of those guys you could mention. Put him. He's one of the late game guys.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I like that. I have no problem with SGA at all. Lou Dort obviously is the other value piece.
Yep.
In that game, and then I do think the Sacramento side is going to be far lower owned, but actually going to be fairly low owned, but it's still going to be like double digits probably for everybody, including Lyles and Monk and Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox, and Sabonis will probably all be like somewhere in the teens. Maybe Keegan Murray gets to 20%, but it's going to depend on what happens, with Anthony Edwards. It's going to depend on what happens with Malcolm Brogdon, and we're just going to have to wait and adjust.
Well, we're gonna like. I liked what you said earlier. I think we're gonna like. We're obviously gonna like Anthony Edwards, not Anthony Simons if Brogdon's out. But I think we're supposed to like him anyway. No.
Yeah. I like him anyway. I prefer him if Brogdon's out. If we get word that Brogdon's in, and I'll mix around some pieces if Brogdon's in and Edwards is out or something. I don't really have much interest in Steph. Again, another great just gun for a tournament play. The problem I have with him is just that even when he gets there, it's so not crushing ever. Could this be the game? Sure. But we really have not seen him. He's been great all year, but he just doesn't have those exploding games where he does everything. Maybe this is the spot to do it. I don't have any problem with it. I do like Kuminga. I think he's getting a lot lower ownership than I thought he would. So I'm probably gonna use Kuminga as a placeholder.
So is he starting in Draymond's place?
I don't think we know. I mean, we don't know.
No, but is that why he's going to look good? Is that the speculation?
Yeah, because Draymond's out. Although he just scored 40 with Draymond in the game the other day, so.
We remember that.
He's coming along. I think he's finally figuring some things out. Okay, so. Yeah, so I think those are the people you're using as placeholders. Like I put my early build on our site, in either of my I have one big buy-in and one smaller buy-in, but big, decent size. But and that's the one I use Jared Allen in one lineup for against Boston. But I don't even think that you need to do that. I just mostly am going to focus just all on this later game and take guys like Strawther, Braun, Kuminga. I like Hendricks more than most people do. Horton Tucker, Sexton, all the medium tier value is really good in those later games.
Wonder what I think of the SaberSim ownership projection of 36% on the Omaji or whatever his name is.
Wait, what's that?
SaberSim has like a 30% ownership projection on the other Utah guy, the Ohaji, whatever his name is.
Yeah, and by the way, it's the kind of play I like another guy I really like is a real life basketball player, but he can play a million minutes and do nothing.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, and that's why he's a defender, and he's just it's harder for him to get there. Every now and then he had a 5 for 10 shooting from three night. He'll take some threes. They give up threes. I guess that's something. But that's really what you're hoping for is a few threes. Couple steals, maybe a couple of rebounds, maybe like 5 rebounds. There's not like a ton of, he hasn't shown any upside, but then again, they are a little bit shorter handed than they have been. He's going to get the minutes, and I think he's a fine placeholder, but I just look at him as a placeholder. I do think that there's more upside with a guy I just like the low ownership on the Hendricks thing. And Hendricks is starting to get some minutes anyway, but he's been better point per minute anyway. And it's such a good matchup that either of them could get there, but if Baj is going to be 30% and Hendricks is going to be like 10, I just think I'd rather play Hendricks.
So is this one of those things where we're supposed to target and play the guys coming off the bench because of the lower ownership in that game?
Yeah.
Or no?
Wait, for which one?
For the Utah game, is that one of those games where we're supposed to?
I don't think anybody knows who's coming off the bench yet.
No, I know that, but when it gets announced, for example, and
Yeah.
we know the starters are going to be much more popular. Should we play the guys coming off the bench almost indiscriminately, or?
I don't think it matters with Horton Tucker, Sexton, those two specifically, and Kelly Olynyk. I don't think it matters. I actually think it's very likely Kelly Olynyk does not start. I think they can start Chris. I think they may start Chris Dunn and just play him like 15 minutes or something, or 20 minutes. But yeah, I don't know how to speculate on it, and I don't even think we know if we need to that much, because I think it's going to look pretty obvious. But I think like that's a good question, the one you asked, because I do think THT, Olynyk, and Sexton are the three that I would worry the least about coming off the bench. Now, do I want to play 50% Kelly Olynyk coming off the bench? No. But if he's going to be 20% then, or 15%, I'm much more willing to take that shot.
Right.
Jolly's asking, is Cleveland a good stack against Boston? Jolly, I got to give it to you, man. You asked some of the questions that I never, ever. It's basically all things that must be just based on recency bias or something, because I could not, for the life of me, understand why you'd want to stack Cleveland against Boston. Could they get there? Sure. Like, something could happen. Mitchell could, but really you're probably looking at more like Mitchell or Jared Allen or something, but I don't know why you'd be like, it's not a spot you ever look to try to attack. If you end up with some of it because you think there's something that's missing about the game, or they might need Mitchell to go nuts or something like that. No, you're not trying to build your core stack with Cleveland. I think Sheets agrees with me. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't really. I have nothing. I have no issue in general with stacking against. You know what I mean? If it looked good, like if Cleveland were out like a bunch of guys, and it was like LeVert, and those usual guys, yeah, no problem. But I don't think any of them were particularly great values today to use. And the best guy that I have from that game is Jared Allen, and he's at a position which is pretty stacked in general. So I think you're, and considering also, just to continue the analysis, considering also that it's an early game, I think all those factors just combine for the game pretty much being a cross-off as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I think there's plays you can make in the game. I think, like, even if you wanted to use like Garland or Tatum or Porzingis or Al, any of these things I'm good with. I just don't think I want to use three of them. I don't want to spend all of my money early in the day when we don't have news later in the day, and we've got much better value later in the day already, which makes the games much more stackable. I mean, people are talking on other shows just about how Utah's just going to give up in the third quarter or whatever. They've been getting crushed, but so is Portland. Like, Portland's not a good team.
When is Portland going to blow somebody out?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we should be like planning for it. Could it happen? Of course, but like, I just don't think that should be what we plan for. One other thing I like about all these Utah guys is there's like, especially like the Sexton. This is like sort of like they're proving their trade bait worth. You know what I mean? Can a couple of them be worth a first rounder, or can they be worth even a second rounder for Sexton or Horton Tucker or whatever? Because they're going to blow things up in Utah, and most of these guys. Then there's the young guys playing for minutes. I just think you're getting your best effort all the time. I do think Fontecchio is a better play than maybe. I don't know. Maybe I should have had him a little higher ranked, but again, we're just talking about placeholders at the moment for me anyway. Anytime.
One thing that happens like pretty interesting is that there's very little difference between sites for me, except there are a couple of things like Butler on FanDuel looks better to me than he does on DraftKings.
He always does, but it's really just, and he's a better play because he's a little bit cheaper and the prices are a little different.
That's
it. But it's been crazy though to see like him at 8,600 on both sites and be like 40% owned on FanDuel and 2% owned on DraftKings. It's just people have gotten a little out of control with it.
That's true.
So I would say that if you're thinking about playing him on FanDuel, you should absolutely be playing him on DraftKings. Because the score you want is not going to matter anyway with the 8,700. The $400 price difference between the sites is not going to make a difference.
And I don't think the extra money's going to matter either because you have all this value to choose from anyway.
Mm-hmm. How about Wembanyama last night, by the way?
How about Wembanyama?
Pretty nuts, that guy. I played him on FanDuel, and I thought I had a little hope there. Then I ended up with Cam Johnson just because I got stuck in one position. I wasn't.
Oh, really?
But he's 5,900 on FanDuel. He was 68 on DraftKings, So on FanDuel, it made a little more sense. But he came out with 30 something in the first quarter. Don't you mention it? But Harden is 20 points from 25. So yeah, that doesn't really do much for me because he's gonna get that anyway. More likely he scores 20 points tonight. I don't think that Harden scoring 20 points that was anything special. I do like, for what it's worth, both Harden and Paul. And I like all three. I like whichever one. And we don't even have official word on Paul George yet.
All the more, not to make this the whole point, but all the more reason why you don't want to stack Cleveland, Boston. You know what I mean? And I use that as an example. Like, all the more reason why you want to just keep pushing back stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way back to the Clipper. You know what I mean? Like, if you're stuck at the end of the day and you don't have, and you can't play, say, Kawhi if Harden is out or whatever, or Paul George is out, then that, you're giving something up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but they were both out. Then you really begin.
I think Kawhi. The thing is, what I was thinking about earlier is that one of Mitchell or Garland probably has a huge game if Cleveland stays close. Within a possession or something. But that's a lot to count on too. You know what I mean? They have to stay close too. They have to stay that close. And I guess there's a little bit of a chance Struss could do something in LeVert off the bat. Maybe not. I really have a feeling though that Mitchell is he's the one I would that I'm the most a little bit sorry to miss out on, I think. And then on the Bulls side, I'm the most sorry probably to miss out on. I just know DeRozan, Kobe White, or Boost. One of those three is probably going to have a huge game. It's like guessing. One. And I would rather not guess on the slate that has so much to potentially offer. And by the way, even if all these guys are in later, you still have lineups that look pretty good. So you're not really losing that. You're not really risking that much.
Sexton, all these. You know what I'm getting a lot of, actually? And he doesn't look, well, he's still questionable, but relatively low ownership is getting a lot of THJ for some reason.
I like that. Just as an ownership play, I think it's a really interesting play. Both he and Exum. Exum has been. I don't know if I could do. The Exum thing is a little bit he's been so good at doing all kinds of things, but he took 10 shots in the last game. He made 8 of them. 9 of them were threes. He made 7 of those. Okay, that's hard to rely on a guy with a 6,600 with a 15% usage rate, but he does do other things. It's just not. You're asking for him to keep just shooting lights out, and it's kind of hard to do that every night, especially in a bad matchup. But Hardaway can just always get hot. It's always worth it, especially with no Kyrie. I think it's always worth gambling.
Yeah, I think that Kane is going to be a casualty in my big buy-in, at least.
Yeah.
This one doesn't look bad, though. You could play Luka and Hardaway together, I think.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely giving up some upside, for sure. And those were all, of all the lineups that had Hardaway that won all the money the other night, none of them had Luka in it also. Because you're getting the points from somewhere, so that means you can allocate the cost to LeBron, which was close enough to Luka on his own, and then middle out the rest of your bill. They can definitely both get there without a doubt, but it's probably not the most optimal way to go. They both did just get there the other night, but I don't know if we can count on Hardaway having a 30% usage rate every night.
Well, this is a fun lineup to save as a placeholder. I actually might do it just to show what it looked like beforehand.
Yeah.
I have one lineup with 6 Utah guys.
Wow. Fuck.
This one looks pretty good. You like Chet at all?
Yeah. But like I said, it's hard for me to even say who I like because I'm just using them as placeholders and then just waiting for later stuff. You know, I don't really know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just waiting. Oh, the fadeaway already sold out. Huh.
Yeah, everybody wants to get that the Celtics Cavalier stacks in before.
That's right. Christian Braun's gonna go here.
All right, let me see what FanDuel looks like, I guess. Before I do that, let's see. Yeah, so the official recommendation really is to play as few guys from the early games as possible, including Miami guys. You know, like Jamal Cain. I don't even know for sure if he's a good play. If you want to know the truth, I mean, he can't be that bad. But he played 29 minutes last night. It's a back-to-back in a completely different matchup. You know what I mean? I don't know. I actually don't think he's going to be quite as popular as he could have been, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are not morons. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna know that if you get the right guy starting in the Utah game or whatever, that you're probably better off doing that. But we'll see. We'll see pretty quickly, right?
Right. I have one Jamal Cain lineup out of, in a small buy, and that's pretty much, and it's only because I'm.
Yeah, I don't have too much at all. I have. Let me just tell you what I have. I like 8%. Like Jamal Cain. That's it. Let me see what so just for fun, let's build we'll build a FanDuel build. I'm not even playing the I'll do this. I'll share my screen. I'm not even playing MME over them. I'm just gonna play one big buy-in, but just to show everybody what to do. All right, so let's upload the new projections.
Yes, always taking back-to-back games into consideration.
Always what?
The question, I don't know, Jolly. I want to let's talk sometime because the questions they're repetitive. Yes, we always take back-to-back games into consideration, and a couple of shows ago, I believe it was asking if I took pricing into consideration, and of course, yes.
So let's do we'll build a full complement of it, even though. Wait. Okay, 1 second. Even though I'm only playing one lineup, just to see what the exposure would look like, and I'm just kind of curious to see if we were getting more, if we really would get more of like the Jimmy Butler over here, you know.
Yeah, I think.
Or the who's another guy that maybe we get on FanDuel?
Let me see. I have Butler was the most out. That was the big one. Why can't I think of somebody? I didn't play any lineups over there, so I don't know. But
wow, FanDuel is really slow. No, actually, it's picking up a little bit. FanDuel was really slow for a second. Yeah, I'm just gonna play one bigger buy-in over there. Donovan Mitchell is starting. So we're still waiting for Anthony Edwards, right? I mean,
yeah.
And also McDaniels. Is that something?
Yeah, that is. I think I might fade. Just put the fade button on. I don't know. The Olynyk one is a little worrisome to me. Back-to-back off an injury for a guy who doesn't need to play even for them.
Well, you don't even have to do it yet. You know, that's the thing.
No, I know. I'm just sort of thinking about like who I even want to prioritize.
So I would be getting, if I ran 50 without doing the Sims yet, it would be not that, only 60% Sexton, and wow, 50% Sabonis, and hello, 40% Omar, 40% Omar Yurtseven.
I think the Yurtseven is the right play for what it's worth.
Is he power forward eligible or something?
No,
he's just 4,600 over here.
Well, also he didn't play much last night. They're on a back-to-back. Both Kessler coming off an injury, and Olynyk did play last night. It feels like a game where he could get the minutes back.
Dude, this is more of a jolly lineup, not a jolly lineup, but like this is one before I run the contest. Look at this first lineup here on the right. This is the top-rated Sabre score lineup. We got 2 Clevelands, including Garland and LeVert together, and then you have Butler and Kane. We're speculating we're going to play Edwards for now. Omar, Sabonis. This has no Jazz, I think. There you go.
There it is.
No, the only Jazz is Omar. That's the only Jazz that this would have. This is all very bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And it's playing Brogdon and Edwards, neither of whom might play.
Right. I really like this Taylor Hendricks tonight. I'm just going to keep just dying on that hill, I guess. It's funny from Eric.
What did he say?
Are you taking minutes and starters into consideration? He's just joking around.
No.
No, don't factor.
Okay, so wait. Okay, I'm actually not going to be sarcastic about this. So let me give a better answer. Maybe a more controversial answer. When you say, what was the original question? Are you taking back-to-backs into consideration?
Yeah.
The quick answer is no. Okay, because supposedly, projections are supposed to take that into consideration already. That people that the projections are going to project minutes, and part of the minutes projection is going to be based on the fact that they played back to back. So in a really
that means yes, though. Still,
what's that?
So it still means yes that you're taking it into consideration.
But I'm not taking it into extra consideration. Is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that projections are what they are, and for me to say that this he looks bad and he's on a back to back, now I'm double counting. You know what I mean? So I personally, but that's not necessarily true either. Okay, so let's just say that the projections do take into the account back to back and stuff like that. But remember, what the projections are usually doing is just giving a median, right? So if you're looking for something with upside, you want as little like in your way, to get to the upside. And if you have this back to back, that's kind of like, causing this like lower projection, I think that it also reduces that kind of fluff that can give you more upside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can sort of double count it for big GPPs. But I mean, yes, technically it's already factored into the projections, but if you're looking to beat like 10,000 people or, whatever it is, then you can count that in, a little bit differently.
Yeah, and also so just to give an example, Kelly Olynyk, who's had multiple injuries this year, is coming on. He's on the second end of a back-to-back. He's had multiple injuries over the years, and he's not really a part of their future. And he's projected to play a season high in minutes tonight. I don't think that's a logical thing. So I would just immediately change those minutes down to 29 or something. Yeah. However, he did play one back-to-back this year, and it was against Portland in Portland earlier this season where he played a season high in minutes. And he put a season high up in fantasy points against Portland the first 2 times. So maybe it's kind of tricky to judge it, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to think that where are the extra minutes, that there's something being miscounted for, I think a lot of the time. And I'm just trying to find the little edges. Like the great example was when the Lakers were playing in the what's it called? The tournament thing or whatever. Or early in the year after the first time LeBron said he was going to play no more than 28 minutes and he played 40, start assuming he's going to play 38 or 40 if they need him. You know what I mean? That's when the projections can't really be right.
So here's an interesting question, right? So you were there with when Kobe had his last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's kind of like a theoretical question. Let's say that Kobe Bryant had averaged 36 minutes a game. Okay, for the whole season, for the last 3 years, for the last 9 years, whatever it is. Right. And every day that he comes out, they project him for 36 minutes. He plays 36 minutes. So let's say that the morning of the game, the coach, whoever it was, comes out and says, I'm going to let Kobe play the whole game. Okay? Mm-hmm. This is his last game. My question is, what would he project for on all the sites? I would say probably 36 minutes.
I think it'd be like 44. I really do.
You think they would take that into account?
In specifically Kobe's case, yes.
You think so? Okay.
I mean, it was the worst. Look, Kobe was 60% owned in the last night he played, and he was like 6K. And that's the dumbest 40% of people I've ever heard of in my life. Like, I don't know how you could build a lineup without a guy who's going to take 50 shots. And he took 50 shots. It's not like an exaggeration. You know what I mean? He scored 60 real life points. There's certain things you just got to sort of throw away. Like when the other one is when DeMarcus Cousins went back to Sacramento, every time it was 85 plus fantasy points. And he was always projected for, 40, 42, 44, but it was always 85.
So there are two guys that I always get to on FanDuel, and one of them you already mentioned. Actually, three, and all three of them are getting to tonight in this one buy-in as far as the early build. What is it, FanDuel? They just love it. They love to have you play
Jordan. No, it's because people, in my opinion, the projections are a little bit. It's not that the projections are off. It's people playing the wrong type of upside. The reason why guys like Dinwiddie and everything are cheaper over there is they don't get steals and blocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Butler does get steals and blocks, but DraftKings' pricing these days is based on projecting what's going to happen the next day. Who's sitting? This guy's out. This guy could go nuts. They're really thinking about it. FanDuel is just going strictly based on numbers. DraftKings is ignoring the numbers.
Yeah.
They've proved that to us. And by the way, DraftKings is much harder to play on than FanDuel is at this moment.
And meanwhile, it was really funny. I forgot that I was sharing my screen. I'm like, oh my God, how did he know it was Dinwiddie?
Oh, yeah.
That's like so funny.
I think it would have come to me at some point.
And the other guy's Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon, yeah. So he actually is good with those things, but he's just never he doesn't have those ceiling games very often,
I don't know if I really want to play Horton Tucker and Dunn and Sexton all in the same lineup either.
Yeah. Well, as I said, Jolly, you're doing the exact opposite of what I'm recommending to do. But what I would say is if I had to pick one of the guards, I really think it's a toss-up between White and Holiday. I guess give me White because Holiday is going to have to stay busy with Mitchell all night and Garland. But that's what I would say Holiday. But I'm sorry, I would say Derek White.
That Omar play, you really like that Omar play?
I might end up doing it. I mean, even the projections like it a little bit. They don't hate him.
I would like to know what's happening with Anthony Edwards one of these days. I mean, it doesn't have to be now. Who is C. Wallace?
Kason Wallace.
Yeah, is he any good?
He's really good. Well, he's good. He's a good defender. He's a part of their future, but he's not. Why is he starting to look like a play?
I'm just going through some lineups, and
he's been doing better. But remember, like Lou Dort was out, so he was like one of the beneficiaries from that.
You know what I might do? This is like really unsporting of me, but I think I'm going to do it. It's like so anti-brand, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm canceling. I'm not playing FanDuel. I'm out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm out. I don't like any of these lineups. I don't like what I'd want to do. I don't like any of it. So I'm out. That's it.
It's
someone who wanted to get into the monster paying $30K for first, they could take my spot. That's it.
So how are you going to get out of it?
I unregistered.
Oh, I didn't realize it wasn't sold. It's not if they're sold out, it won't let you.
Oh, if it's sold out, it won't let you?
Sometimes, yeah. I don't know what the rules are with it. I don't know on FanDuel, actually. I've had it happen on DraftKings before. I think I've had it on FanDuel, too.
Okay. Everybody's waiting for me. Yeah, I never put my NBA stuff up. I'm going to do this right now, actually.
Okay, I'm going to just throw out some of the football stuff and just name some football takes because it is.
Oh, okay, go for it because I'm doing that in a little while. But I did an early build. But obviously, okay, you give your takes, but obviously you could leave billions on the table.
That's the number one thing. You definitely can leave money on the table. You also can find lineups you like where maybe you don't want to leave all the money on the table.
Really? That's going to be tough to get.
Well, fair enough. So captain-wise, I personally, let me just hold on. Let me grab what the hell. Oh, that's wrong. Okay, so captain-wise, Eckler and Devontae Adams are going to be the most popular. I will just not play them as captains. I do like them both. They'll probably both be in almost all my lineups, but I am just not going to captain them. They're going to be both probably around 20% is my guess, even though the field has them a little further back. Zamir White is going to be popular. I think that the big brain one that's going to take a little bit of courage is to maybe play Amir Abdullah or the Brandon Bolden, who legitimately may not even play. He's projected for 0 right now.
Brandon Bolden.
He's the third running back, and he has every reason just to. I mean, Zamir White hasn't played that much either. Look, it's going to be White. I'm just throwing out. He's 200. He's probably not even going to play. But if he's dressing, I think he's worth taking a shot on anyway. You don't really need the 200. That's the thing.
This is like an Eric play. Who is that? Brandon Bolden. Okay.
Well, I mean, he's just their other running back. And Abdullah basically plays the third down and the pass work stuff. So I think Abdullah is the other guy you could use as a captain to get a little different. I think Michael Mayer, but again, you don't really need the value. That's the only problem. And that's why the most expensive guys are going to be the most popular as the captains. But Zamir White, Josh Palmer, and I like Quentin Johnston tonight. I think Quentin Johnston is starting to turn his season around, and I just hope that this Easton Stick or whatever can find him a few times, because I do think Johnston is interesting. He's going to be a little bit forgotten about, certainly as a captain. But even as a play overall, I think just because people can just easily play Palmer, I would say get some Quentin Johnston shares and get some Palmer shares too. So those would be my favorite captains. And I also do like both defenses for what it's worth, which I think everybody's going to. I like both kickers also. I don't think I'm going to captain any of them, but I am going to be using them in my flex slot.
Yeah, I want to put my stuff on the Stake Kings here first. I almost forgot. Yeah, I think that you could put Adams in the captain, obviously, if you want to. But you could also put Jacoby Myers in the captain if you want to. Or
yeah.
If you don't want to do any of that, you can just put the kicker in the captain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I'm not using them as captains, but I totally think it's viable.
Yeah. Oh, hey. What's going on? All right, Matt, I got to go.
Matt, do your thing. Say hi to Matt.
Molly.
What's up, guys? Anyway, so those are my main ones for football. I don't really think there's a whole lot to go over. It's really, you could do whatever you want. I'm looking at my builds. I have 5 1s both ways and 4 2s both ways. I just wanted to get a little bit of exposure to a highly volatile game that could go a bunch of different ways. And I would be betting the over as a sneaky over right now, but I actually bet the under because I got a ridiculous number on it. For some reason, it was 43 on one site earlier in the week. So I bet the under at 43. But at 35, I'm a little bit more interested in maybe taking some shots on the over. It's pretty close for me. It's hard for me to see a Chargers game with a 35 total and not have some interest, even with the way it's currently constructed. Anyway, we appreciate you guys all. Please click the like before you get out of here. And I'll be in the premium Discord if anybody has any questions or thoughts as the slate rolls on. We'll probably be doing some late swapping, and I'll fix that. I'll put that in for you. Utah or Portland straight up. I don't bet those kind of games. I just don't think there's any edge. So I'm not betting on Utah or Portland. I laid on that game. I didn't play it tonight. That's where I'm at. Maybe I don't know. I don't even really want to go there. All right. Good luck to everybody, and we'll see you guys in the